Social Darwinism is one of the isms that developed in the 19th century and took its popularity during this time as well as in the beginning of the 20th century. The concept behind social Darwinism is that those with more power and strength can overturn and take advantage of weaker beings. Along the same lines, this ism revolves around competition as a requirement for the current environment, in this case, things such as social classes and countries, to evolve rather than plateau at the level they are at. This ism was developed by Herbert Spencer, but was originated by a text written by Charles Darwin, who proposed the idea of evolution. This specific ism had a lot of influence during the 19th century, and it even went as far as to be involved with the Industrial Revolution. When England first industrialized, it became a major power due to the technological advances experienced. When compared to the rest of the countries, who had never witnessed adventures such as the steam engine, it had become clear that England was ahead of all of the other countries. This particularly frightened other nations at the time because they would be left behind in the race to be a superpower. If they were one of the weaker countries, stronger states would not have hesitated to attack and claim their land, since they would have not had the power or weapons to fight back. This deals with social Darwinism because the idea of multiple nations competing with one another to gain control is how the entire world eventually industrialized and was brought into a new era of technology. Along with entire countries fighting for control over the globe, the concepts of social Darwinism also appeared in the different social classes. This can be considered a part of the ism's relationship to the 19th century. Those that were in higher classes, such as the aristocrats, were easily able to take advantage of the lower ranks, including the working class and the peasants. While the rich were out strolling with fancy clothing to display their wealth, the rest of the classes were most likely working laborious tasks to keep their families alive and fed. Because they had the money and power, the aristocrats were the ones in charge. The rich got money from the taxes paid by the peasants. Also, most of the time it was the peasants that would have died at earlier ages despite medical advances. Both of these photos represent social hierarchy that was present during the 19th century, since the rich were always at the top and the poor at the bottom. But instead of being in a diagram shaped like a pyramid, it shows progression with height. During the time of the Industrial Revolution, something that became popular among the powerful nations was colonization. Since countries such as England and France were battling to be the biggest superpower, they took over lands rich in resources in order to make cheaper products, and bring places like Africa. In the top photo, it represents England getting the pick of which regions of Africa it wants to colonize. Along the same lines, the different European colonizers are shown in this map of Africa, the pink color representing Great Britain and the regions that it decided to colonize. They mostly targeted these areas due to the low industrialization that occurred there previously. This fits in with the concept of survival of the fittest. Africa did not have much power, and they became an easy opening for other nations to invade and take advantage of them. Also, the powerful countries wouldn't have considered themselves wrong for invading the area. Instead, they considered it a favor, which became known as the white man's burden. Another idea that goes hand in hand with social Darwinism is the notion of eugenics. What this basically means is that in order to have that perfect human race, the government should be able to control the reproduction in the nation. It argues that in order to flourish, the nation should consist of only the fit and those capable of surviving. This could mean that it would exclude those with handicaps and disabilities, or even an entire race of people. Genocides such as the Holocaust have happened because someone believed that for the nation to grow powerful, it would have needed to remove certain people. The quote right here shows how some people felt about others they considered a hassle and a burden to the rest of the population because they were considered less than them. Despite times having changed, social Darwinism still exists today. Businesses, for an example, have the capability of dominating a certain field or area and creating a monopoly effect. Bigger, more expensive businesses can take over the smaller, more local businesses if they chose to, or put them out of business if the circumstances arose. As seen in the photo right here, the bigger fish represent the main corporations that could overpower the lesser companies. Also, as mentioned before, recent genocides can be placed under this category as well.